Please, sorry, you mentioned something about Power BI and BI service, Power BI mobile, and Power BI what again?
Power BI desktop. So I was saying
Okay,
Power BI is
okay, thank
in like three variants. Power BI desktop is this place that we are. That's where you create your reports. That's where you import your data, do your analysis, and do everything. Now, Power BI service, the biggest usefulness of Power BI service is two things: is available online, so it is on cloud. So that means that you don't have to be with this your actual your computer, your own desktop. You can take any system and log into your Power BI service, and any report that you have published into your Power BI service, you have access to it, have access to the data set. But however, the biggest use of it is for collaboration. And when we take the next class where we dive into Power BI service, you understand that it's where you can share when you publish your reports in Power BI service, you can get a link that you can just share with other people. And then you can subscribe people to the report such that every day somebody gets a report that says you can do a lot of, you can collaborate, you can share, you can do a lot of all that in Power BI service. So that's just like when we have Excel desktop and then we have Excel online, Microsoft too. And then Power BI mobile. Now in Power BI, after you publish your report to Power BI service, you can actually publish an app, a Power BI app sort of, that also you can share with people. So now Power BI mobile is where when you have published an app, someone doesn't need to have a computer to read that's your report. So they can read it on their Power BI app. And that was why last week we did that mobile layout thingy. So that when somebody is viewing your report on their mobile phone, the report is optimized for the screen on the phone and not just this desktop view. So those are the three variants. Power BI desktop is the where you're doing the building. Power BI service is where you share, where you collaborate, where you do all of those things. And then Power BI mobile is the one on your phone that you can use on the code to view your reports. However, you cannot build reports in Power BI mobile. You can only build here in desktop and maybe in service, depending on what you're trying to do. The one on mobile is just for viewing on the go. So yes. So today's
thank you.
yes, you're welcome. Today's topic is basically in the curriculum we called it analyze data. But then basically what we're trying to do with this module is that it's fantastic to create visuals, but like I already said also in the last class, what is most important is how fast people can get insights from the visuals that you have created. And that's why sometimes it's not good enough to just create visuals. Now, there are some things that you can add to your visuals that can help people to fully analyze your data. And those are the things we'll look at today, basically. Normally, conditional formatting is somehow on today's model, but we have already covered it last week, so I won't go back to it. But another thing that I will show us is top-N analysis. Top-N analysis, just as the name implies, is just something that helps you to see the top whatever in your data set. So top 20, top 50, top 100. So for example, we'll have, I'll have to create a visual to show us that. We have, say, profits by location by city. You don't have to use a map, okay? I want to use a table to show this so that I can properly illustrate what I'm saying. Okay, I wanted it to be that the cities are really many. So now there's how many cities are there? Okay, I don't know what the count is, but obviously there are a lot. You can see where this thing is, a whole lot. So what's happening here is, let me increase the grid so that we can see properly. So now we have all of these cities and these are all their profits. And maybe the company has an award that says, oh, the top 10, the cities with the top 10 cities by profit, so we're going to give them something. And instead of somebody having to come in and count, if it's top 3, you can easily say, okay, New York, Los Angeles, and Seattle. But by the time you're asking for maybe top 10 or top 20, it's really difficult for you to now start counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And instead of doing that, why don't you just come here and say top N? So you come here where you have the city. The city is where you want to filter, sort of. So there's basic filtering, which says you have to select each of the names of the city you want to pick one by one. But instead of doing that, you now go to advanced. There's advanced filtering, and then there's top N. So by the time you click this top N, he asks you top how many. You want top 5, top 6, top 20, top 50. I'll just say top 10 by value. It doesn't want to assume that because I put profit here, it's top 10 by profit that I want. So it has that flexibility. You can use another field. Maybe the field you're showing here is not what you want to use to filter them. But since we want to filter by profit again, we'll have to now drag profit into this place. The moment you say top 10 by profit, now you have to apply the filter. So I don't want to see all of the whole jargons. I just want to see the top 10. And I'm glad that I selected this particular data point, that cities, because if we had only 5 and I'm asking you for top 2, you would think, oh, it's easy now. I can just look at it and know the top 2. But because, and in fact, for example, assuming I had sorted this, assuming I didn't sort it by profit, and then I removed the filter here, is even more difficult. By the time I ask you who are the top 10 here, you're going to be like, how am I going to know who are the top 10? But then the top end filter just saves you all of that stress. You just say top 10. So you can do this, you can use this in a gazillion different ways. Top 10 by whatever thing, top whatever, and all of that. So that's what top end analysis does for you. It just brings exactly what you want to see. And it can be top 15, it can be top 12. Like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a round figure, or top 22. And it just gives you that without you having to now count one after the other. So that's what that does for you. So the next thing I want to show us that we can also use is Q&A, or quick insights, whatever you want to call it. This is like the cheat code of Power BI. So let's say I've imported my data and everything, and I don't even know where to start from. There's a guy here called Q&A. What it typically means is that ask your data any question. That's any question at all. And I can just start by saying, oh, sales by sales. Try to start suggesting things for me. See, the moment I typed sales, you already brought total sales. By the time I now say by maybe sales rep, it just gives me. So instead of me going to pick this, I just ask the data question and it brings out a visual for me. And then if I don't like it in this form, I can change it, of course, to something. But before I change it, I have to sort of accept. So this is a suggestion from my Q&A. You get, this is suggesting, is this what you're asking for? And if I confirm that this is what I'm asking for, but I want to show it in another format, the first thing I will just do is to, okay, turn this Q&A result into a standard visual. So the moment I turn into a standard visual, then it becomes like a normal bar chart that can do anything with it. So it really helps you to sort of gives you a head start when you're doing your visualization. And this is there was something that Choma taught us when we were doing modeling that now comes to play here. Now let me go back to the Q&A. Remember when she was asking, maybe some people call sales some other thing in their language, or in your team, some other team call it profit, some call it revenue, some call it, but in this here is not called revenue, but some other people call it revenue. But because we had added, I don't remember if we added revenue, let me check. If we added revenue as this, some of the synonyms, I can just come here and instead of saying sales, I say revenue. Revenue. Can you see? It brings out the same sales figure. That's because we had added revenue as a synonym. Anything we didn't add, the moment you put it, it will say, oh, sorry, I don't understand that or something. So for example, let me put, what else do people call revenue? Maybe turnover. I don't want to believe you understood that turnover means sales. Or okay, what's happening here is that he's using his own artificial intelligence. The moment I said turnover, he's asking me, is it sale I want or profit? But then it's easier if you add it as a synonym to either of sale or profit. But then I want to put something really strange that you do not understand. So let me say, something huge is coming. So it's like, we didn't understand your question. Try fixing double underlined terms. So that's just what Q&A is really. So you can ask a data question, but you have to use words that, you have to use keywords that are either here or that you have added as synonyms. So for example, here now, is giving me the option right here to add more synonyms. So I can come here. Okay, the moment I click it, it takes me here. And you just say, okay, these are the synonyms that you can add to each of the, these are all the terms that are already there. So if you want to add a synonym to calendar, for example, it's even giving you suggestions of other words that people use as synonyms in your, that people normally use as synonyms. So month number, quarter, and all of that. So here you can help the vocabulary of your report, so that when it says venue, when somebody says scene, when someone says metropolis, all these things, you understand it as what you're trying to say. So for example, let me add metropolis to city and add, let me look for something else here. Concession rates, profits, let me add yield. So I'll come here and say yield by, what did I add to that place? Metropolis. So I can now come here because I've added yield and metropolis to that place. I can come here and say yield metropolis, and he understands that this is what I'm trying to ask. Showing results for cities, locations in total profits. So that's just really how it works anyway. If you go back here, there's so much more you can do here that I'm not sure we can cover now because we've not done Power BI service. When you publish your reports to Power BI service, people can use Q&A in Power BI service to ask your report questions. So this review questions is where you can see questions that people have asked. So if people have been asked, I'm not signed in here, so it's asking me to sign in. If people have been asking questions that maybe they've been using words that you didn't add earlier on as a synonym, in your report. You're going to see them here. These are questions that people have been asking, or it's even possible that people have been asking questions that you didn't sort of envisage that people will ask. So for example, you designed your report, you didn't add a place to show maybe profit by location. And a lot of people have been asking for profit by location. That might just mean that, okay, you need to design a visual that shows profit by location and all of that. Teach your Q&A is where you can also add, you can add synonyms and all of that, manage terms, suggest questions. This here, you can put some questions so that when people come, because if you remember clearly, the moment let me remove this. The moment you click the Q&A, it's suggesting some questions for you. How many states are there? Sort orders by product. So when you in that place, you can sort of add questions that you want it to suggest to people when they click the Q&A. So the Q&A is actually, I think, is a very powerful feature, and it gives you a head start. Sometimes, even if you don't know which visual to use, or you don't know how to do what you want to achieve. So that's what the Q&A does for you. It's actually really powerful, and you can use it both in desktop and in Power BI service. Another thing that I want to show us is reference lines. I'll try to close this class at 7:30 today, so let's see how that goes. Reference lines are now will I explain. Reference lines are just reference lines, but they are more. I want to use this line charts to show reference lines because this is where they are most useful. Even though you won't be able to use it the way I want, but I'll just use it nonetheless. Reference lines give reference, as the name implies, and I'll just show you so that you understand how they work. So this is this pane is called the analytics pane, where you can do a lot of other things. So what reference line do is they show a reference, as the name implies. For example, one of the reference lines is the minimum line. So if you come here, you click add. The name is minimum line 1. You can change it to anything. He's saying what measure do you want it to reference? And the reason why he's asking this question is because on this line chart, we have quantity and profit. So which of the measures do you want the line to reference? Is it the quantity or the profit? And what this would technically do is that it will just put a line at the lowest value, at the point where you have the lowest value for quantity. So that's why you can see this line here. So it's showing us that this is the minimum quantity that was sold. And if you change it to profit, it will go up. Can you see to where you have the minimum profit? And the same way, the maximum line, the average line, you just add, what's the average line? You can see the average line. And of course, you can change the color to whatever you want, maybe red. You can change the line style. You want it dashed or solid. And these lines are usually very good in. So if, for example, assuming we had, that's why I said this will not show you the way I want to show you, but at least we can see how it works. So assuming we had some, like if it was just profit, and then we have some God, why am I looking for the word? We have some cities, or for example, okay, you can even say, for example, maybe you have the y-axis constant line, for example. Let me remove the minimum line so that will show us what I want to show with the constant line. Which other line is here? Average line. The y-axis constant line, when you add it, it stays on 0.0 because 0 is constant. Of course, the value here is 0. So it's a constant line. By default, it stays on 0. So assuming you just want to use it to show, you want to show at a glance which month we're making profit and which month we're making loss. Unfortunately, there's no month here showing loss, at least by this report. So assuming there was a month showing loss now, this line will be on 0, and then you can see the ones that are under 0. But another thing we can also use it to show is, so for example, it doesn't have to be 0. For example, you have a minimum threshold for profit. Maybe, where is the profit this thing? Let me remove quantity from here so that I can see this thing properly. So let's say we have a minimum threshold for profit that is, say, 20K. 20K. You can put a value here, say 20,000. 1, 2, 3. By the time you put that value there, can you see now this line is here? So you can see all the months where we made below 20,000. That's January, February, April, May, June. Little. So it's 22K. How is it below the line? Okay, maybe I've not applied it. Yeah, I have. Coming. Oh, okay. The profit is on the secondary axis. I was wondering now. It's here. Okay. So now the 0 is where it should be. So now if I move this to 20,000. Exactly. So we can see all the months that are below 20,000 and the ones that are above 20,000. So you can either leave it as 0 or you can put it as whatever you want. And again, you can conditional format it. I won't go into the details of that. We've done conditional formatting 1 million times. And you can edit it. You can put it solid or dotted, however you want it to be. And you can show the label. So putting on the label means you can now see that, oh, okay, this cutoff is 20,000 and everything below it is 20,000 and everything above it. So that's what constant lines do for us. There's a minimum, maximum, and there's the average and the median line. There's a question I always like to ask in this class. The average and the median line, are they the same? The average and the median line, are they the same?
I don't think so.
You're not sure?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they are the same.
Does anybody
Median
have?
is going to be the
Does
two.
Median is going to
They are not the same.
They are not the same. What's the difference?
They're not the same.
Median is just the value that lies in the middle, in between the data set. Average is just the summation and the
Divide
by the number of, yeah.
Okay, the question that now follows that, the percentile line. So there's another one that is the percentile line, which in some situations, the percentile line can be the same as the median and the average. Or I'll just help us. If I set the percentile line, so when you select the percentile, it asks you where you want to set it to. So if I set it to 50%, yeah, it will be equal to one of the median or the average line. So which one will it be equal to?
Median.
Median. We open no book. I'm happy. So yeah, so it could actually be dicey, but because like we have explained, the median line is the one that is in the middle when you arrange it in ascending order. And then the percentile is actually also arranging ascending order and which one is in the middle. So the percentile line at 50% is the same as the median line, but they are not the same as the average line. And I'll just show us that. So I put this percentile line. Let me put the median line. So you see that two of them are on top of each other. The only way you can see that there's a different line is if I put this one as solid. So we can see that two of them are on top of each other. Now I can remove the median line and put the average line. So we can see that they are not the same. They're different. So that's I think that's that about reference lines. The next thing I want us to cover today is grouping and binning. Grouping and binning is a way of grouping your data into groups. And the reason why there are two types, grouping and binning, is because one works for when your data is in form of text, and the other works for when your data is sort of numbers. So when you have text, you can just say maybe there are 12. So you can say, okay, 1, 2, 3 be in one group, 2, 3, 4 be in another group. But when there are numbers and the numbers are a lot, you have to create what we call bins. So those bins are usually, okay, you can say, okay, so from 1 to 100, we are in group A. So you don't have to pick the numbers one after the other. You can just put a range, which is called a bin. And then the bins will now have sizes. The bin size is just the definition of how big the bin is, like 1 to 100 or 1 to 1000 or 1000 to 150. And the way to do that, and the use case of that is an example that I remember that someone asked in the first class, that if you don't want to group your year into quarters, maybe you want to have trimesters, like first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. How do you go about that? So the way to do that is to go to your data view, and I'll use the trimester zone to explain. I'll use the trimesters to explain the grouping. Now you come here and right click, and you see new group. Once you click this new group, it brings it here. So normally there's a drop down here where you can say either lists or bins, but it's not giving us that option because anyway they are text. You can't group them into bins. You can only have a list. So you can give it a name, not one group. Let's call it, since we're saying trimester, let's call it trimesters. And then you select, say, January, February. You have to hold Control and then click. So I'm going to put 4 months in a trimester, February and March. You group that. So it's asking you what name you want to call it. So say trimester 1. Then you come back here and select the next 4. Group trimester 2. Come back here, select the next 4, and you group. And you have trimester 3. So now all our values are grouped. Then you click OK. Next thing, when you come here, you see your trimesters, trimester 2, trimester 3, trimester 1. Let's sort this the way it should be sorted so that sorry, I don't know the difference between ascending and descending. I always have to test it. So yeah, so now you can create a visual using trimesters, and I'll just use this one that we already have. I will just remove the month and put trimesters there, and then we can see. Correct pronunciation, is it trimester or trimester? Nobody's answering me now. People want to be laughing at me, Abby.
Idea is needed.
Idea is needed. Okay. So this is just a trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3. So we have succeeded in grouping the months into trimesters the way we want them to be. So let's go back to our months, because this one is not looking nice. But I mean, depending on the use case, sometimes you want to see it that way. And then, so for the other one, the one that is for numbers. So let's see, we have to use something that has numbers to do that. So let's go to, okay, we already done quarters. We could have actually used the month numbers and group them into quarters. But we'll look for something else to use, something that has numbers. So if we are going to use these profits, we need to know the minimum and the maximum. I don't know how we'll do that. Okay, let me do something. I want to know what the minimum and the maximum of the profit is so that we will know how to group the bin sizes. So like understanding of your data is important, because if you don't know, so if you know that your data is between 1 to 1,000, you can decide that, okay, I want to have 10 bins, 1 to 100, 100 to 200 and all of that. But if you don't know, you just be working blindly. Okay, let me use quantity, but I don't want to use sum. I want to just know the highest and the smallest. Okay, minimum quantity is 1. And the maximum quantity no, it can't be 14. So it actually is 1 to 14. Okay, so we can just group it into, say, seven bins of quantity of 2, 2. So let's say we want to, what we're trying to achieve with this, I would assume, is maybe we want to group our, does this thing have customer ID? Okay, order ID. Okay, order types to maybe when people buy 1 or 2, they are not loyal customers. When they buy 2 to 3, they are okay. Let's do like 3 groups then. They buy 1 to 5, 5 to, we want to know, group our customers by how much stuff they buy per order, sort of. So we'll come here, right click, you say new group. So can you see now it's giving us the group type, it's giving us the option of bin or list. Because if you still want to be selecting them 1, that's your business. But because this is the number, we have the luxury of just binning it. So let me call this, let's just leave it as quantity bins. You can really call it anything. I was stressing myself to do minimum and maximum value. I didn't know that they will show us here. So what you're just saying here is the option of size of bins and number of bins. So you can either decide that you want to tell it the bin size. I want each of the bin size to be 5, 5 or 4, 4. Or, and what it means by bin size would be binning splits numeric or date or time data into equally sized group. The default bin size is calculated based on your data. So now the bin size is 1. No, I don't want the bin size to be 1. I want to use it based on number of bins, and I want to have 3 bins. So bin count 44. No, now bin size. I want to have 3 bins. This data has problem because it's not equal. What else divides 7? 4. Okay, let's have 7 bins just so that it will be equal. No, this is supposed to now be 2. Okay, it's 15. We have 3 bins. Why am I confused? How many count of values do we have here? 1 and 14 inclusive. It should be either 15 or 16. 44, okay. Size of bins. 13, 1 and 14 inclusive. Anyway, let's just have 3 bins. We'll see how it pans out. Because I was assuming that if I put 2 bins, I expect to see 7 here, but I'm seeing 6.5. So let's put 3 bins. When it comes out, we'll see how it looks like. Okay, so in bin 1, So this would be the values between 1 and 5.3. One and 5.3. Okay. Let's do a visual with it so that we will see what it looks like. Quantity bins. Then I'll put quantity under it so that we'll see what quantities are under with bin. That's not how I mean now. Okay. I'm trying to create a sort of hierarchy. So let me just do like this. Let me just create the hierarchy since it's not behaving the way I want it to behave. I'm already teaching you how to create hierarchy. So quantity bins and quantity. Exactly, this is what I want. So you can actually name these bins whatever you want. So these are the quantities under the first bin. Under the second bin, you have this, and under the last bin, we have this. We have this. So you created, okay, this has 5, this has 4, and this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because they were not equal, so you had, so assuming we had maybe like 15 now, they would have had 5, 5, and 5. Now we can actually add something to it to make it better, but yeah. So, but here now you can change, you can actually change the names of those, if you come to edit groups, you can actually change the name of each of those bins. I think so. But yes, so these are the different groups that we have. I'm trying to find where you can change the name of the bins to say, oh, okay, no, you can't change it exactly. You have to use like DAX to say, to create a column that says, okay, when the quantity bin is 1, call them maybe classic customers. When the quantity bin is 5, call them premium customers. And when the quantity is 9, call them basic, royalty customers. So, but now that you have grouped it, you can see what's happening in each of the different groups, and you can also use this for further analysis that you need to do. And this can work with any kind of any of the data set. It can also be dates. You want to group the dates into maybe first half of the year, second half of the year, or something that is not regular to the normal calendar. It could be the profits, it could be the ship dates, it could be anything. But just know that when they are text, you have to use bins. So you have to use groups. That's lists. But when they are letters or when they are numeric values or dates, then you have to use bins that split them based on the bin sizes. And that's how grouping and binning works. It just makes your data, makes your analysis easier, sort of, now that you have grouped them. And this might not look valuable to you because we had just 14 values, but assuming that we had 1 to 1,000, like assuming I use the profits now, we'll have a long list of values, and then grouping it or binning it to be more valuable work. For example, let me come here to let's profit safe new group. You can see that the range is very wide. So the moment you start grouping this one, group type, bin type. Let me see. Number of bins. I say I want to have 3 bins. So still group it. So we'll have 0 to, for this one even has negative. When you bring it out, you see what the groups look like. And if you want to specify the size too by yourself, you can also say, okay, I want the size to be 100. Every 1 to 100, 100 to 200, like that. Of course, it will start from the minus, but you sleep there because the range is really wide. So maybe 1000. Then you see how many this thing you have. Let's see what it looks like. Profit bins. How is this guy not moving? I feel like we're going to have a whole lot of bins nonetheless. So, okay, not so much. So we have like 10 or thereabouts. So what this means is from minus 7,000 to minus 4,000. But why did you go from 7 to 4? It should be 1,000. I'm coming now. Because the others seem to be gaps of 1,000. 5 to 6. Okay, this 6 to 8 too. Jumping like that, there should be gap of 1,000. Let me put the profits and down, see how it behaves. That's not what I mean now. Okay, let's look at it from here. Okay, yes, 7,000. I guess the reason why it jumped to 4 is because there's no profit in that other range. That's between 6,000 to 7,000, between 4 to 5 and 6 to 7. There's no profit number in that range. So that range is blank. That's why it's not showing it at all. So that's do you get what I'm saying? Like if you look at this, you won't see any profit ahead. See, after 6.5, the next thing we'll have is 3.8. So there's no 4 or 5. So that's why those ones are blank. So that's why it just jumped. So that's basically it. So that's basically how to group your this thing. So anyway, so you can check how much profits, like which of the groups is your profit or your loss more concentrated. So it seems to be this group. And you can also use, let me come back here. You can also use this to show which group of people are giving you more profits. Like, is it the group of people that are buying plenty things that are giving you profits? Or people that are buying small things? Of course, it's expected that people that are buying much will give you more profits. So sometimes maybe they are buying much, but the things they are buying are not expensive things. And we can really say, so this group, they seem to be buying a lot of things, but you're not making profit from them. This other group too, the group that are buying only one thing or between 1 and 5 things, they seem to be the one you're making a lot of profit from. So it just shows that sometimes it's not always by quantity. So there's so much, so like this might just tell you that, okay, you need to create priority service for people that are buying fewer things because you seem to make a lot of profit from them. And I know I've gone to some stores where they have different line for people that are buying only 1 or 2 things, even though the purpose may be different. But then this can also be the reason why you're doing that. If your data says that you're making more money from them, every business likes to pay attention to the people that are giving them the most money. So, okay, the next thing that I want to show us is the play axis. For me to show, I'll use the play axis to show us some other thing. So we've tried to use a lot of the visuals that are here, even though not all, but we've used a good number of them. However, I remember that when we started this class, I said the beauty of Power BI is that there are so many visual types that you can use, and this is not even all of them. This ... here means that there are so much more. And the next visual that I want to show us is actually not here. So we'll have to go and get it. But before you can get a visual, you need to be signed in to Power BI. That's signed into your account. So it's asking me to sign in. So I'll just sign in. Then it will take me to the App Store where I can get more visuals. And there is a whole lot. Yeah, sign into my account. There is a whole lot of visuals. Some of them are free, of course. Some of them are paid. You have to either have a pro account. So you can see this one now, it says pro. You need to have a pro account to be able to use it. Ultimate, there's a whole lot. Word cloud, I'm sure we'll see this word cloud. People use it a lot for all those Twitter analytics and what have you. There's a whole lot. But the one I want to use, that I want to show us, is the play axis. Instead of looking for it, I'll just search. Play axis is free, of course. I like free things. So once I click here, I say get it now. So once you get the visual, it just comes here. Visual was successfully imported. So this is what I just imported now, the play axis. And what the play axis does is it works quite like a filter too, but then I'll just show us. It gives it makes your dashboard, your reports dynamic, sort of. It makes the dashboard play like a video. So instead of this month slicer here, I'll change it to the play axis. And what it will do is that once I play this thing, it shows us how the data behaves month on month. It just plays like a film show of how the data was behaving month on month. So you can see here the month is changing: January, February, March, April, and you can pause it when you see something that catches your fancy and then control it by yourself. Okay, go to April, go to May, go to June, go to July, August. So it's quite like a filter, but it's just it's just more dynamic. And you can use it on all kinds of visuals, not just this. So for example, I can come here to this front page and also change this one. Change this one to play, and I click play. You see all of them changing: January, February, all of them that are connected to it. I'm not sure. I think this one is not connected to it. These three up are not connected to these two. So you can just see how it's playing. And this just sort of so you can pin it so that it will be there whenever you want to use it and all of that. That's how the play axis works. It just sort of plays a slideshow of whatever visuals that you have designed before. And next is, what's next? Okay, I'll just show us two more things. I said I want us to close by 7:30. So I'll show us two more things before I go. And those things are here at Insert. Using AI insights on your visuals. I'll stay here and do the first one, then I'll go back. I'll go to another sheet to do the other one. There's something here. Okay, we've done Q&A. In Power BI, there are usually 1 million ways to kill a rat. So if you can see that, get more visuals that I did here. I could have also done it here from app source or from my files and all of that. And even this smart narrative is also somewhere here. but I can also pick it from here. So these are sort of things depending on what you want to achieve with them. And so that's why we've done Q&A, where it's even suggest synonyms to you and all of that. All of that is artificial intelligence and natural language processing. However, this other one is called Smart Narrative. And as you can see the explanation, add an auto-generated written summary of your data to this report. So you've prepared all these things. Many times it's really important to add maybe put one small text box under explaining that between January and February, sales was on a consistent rise until July when it crashed. And then one thing, all those story explanation that is really necessary to add to your data. The easiest way to do it is just to come here and click this Smart Narrative. And magic! This summarizes everything that you have in all of these reports. And I can read. Okay, let me just increase the font a little so that maybe we can see. Here's the font size. Formatted. Okay, I can't see. Okay, yeah. Oh no. So it says at 43,000, December had the highest profits and was 37.4% higher than January, which had the lowest profit at 9.134. December accounted for 15% of profits. Across all 12 months, profits ranged from 9,000 to 43,000. Technology had the highest total sales at 836, followed by furniture, East in category made up 11% of sales. Technology has the highest average sales, followed by furniture and office supplies, So it has technically looked at all of the this thing that we have here. I think the only thing it hasn't talked about is the sales by team. It has talked about region, it has talked about the month on month, it has talked about. So this just looks at all your data, and of course with artificial intelligence gives you a narrative. And instead of trying to look at it by yourself and trying to figure out, oh, how many percent did this one increase by? This has done everything for you. And you can just carry it and put it. You can just carry it and put it in one corner of your report, assuming we still have space. No, I didn't asking you to add anything, Jerry. Just move it to one corner of your report. That way, you have what you need instead of having to read it one after the other and putting this thing by yourself. And of course, these are all the values that have been generated, all these figures. In case you want to change it, for example, maybe you want to change the format, you don't want it to show all these points, just say 74%. And all of that. So you can do all of that. And I feel like it's really a fantastic thing because it's useless for you to create all these things and not have an explanation. So now that we're done with that, I'll just show us key influencers and decomposition tree. I'll go to another page to do that so that we can see it properly. Okay, we'll use this page. Use this page. The composition tree is typically, as the name implies, a tree that shows breakdown of, like you can already see the way it looks like. It means that you put something here, then it puts it down into this, then it can break it down further. So for example, I would just put, of course, it has to be a number that you put there. It's a number that can be broken down like that. But let me put sales. We've not used sales a lot today, we've been using profits. So this just sales, and it's running, okay, what do you want me to do with sales? Now you have to put something else. Let me show the visualization screen so we can see. Is this the decomposition tree now? Sales. So what do you want to explain sales by? You want to explain it by region? You want to explain it by category? What do you want to explain it by? So you say explain by, let me use subcategory. Hopefully subcategories are not a lot. Okay, I put the subcategory here, but somehow it's not showing yet. Why? So because the only thing that changed is that this plus is now here. You see, if I remove this, the plus is no longer there. When I put the subcategory, this plus is now here. And the reason why it's not showing it yet is because it wants me to tell him how to show it. And when you click here, you see the options. Choose how to split your data. If you, sorry, why am I right clicking? If you click on it, it's saying high value, low value, then so it's subcategory. But you have the option of saying this light here means I want you to highlight the subcategory with the highest value, or I want you to highlight the subcategory with the lowest value. But if you just say subcategory, it doesn't highlight anything, it just shows it. And I'll show us now. So if you say subcategory, it just shows all the subcategories. It seems that there are a lot though. Okay, fair enough. Okay, there are a lot. Let me change it to something that we can see everything at once. So if I say category, it shows all the categories. But if I go back and I say high value, it's taking so long. So you can see that the technology is now bold, showing that technology is the category with the highest sales value. And then if I say low value, the office supplies is now bold, showing that office supply has the lowest value. So basically, that's how decomposition tree works. What it means is it's just literally decomposing the data points that you have put as the focus data point. And you can go just like we had in our bar chart and column charts. You can actually have categories and then have subcategories. As you can have it again in hierarchies, like we had the last time. System is hanging so bad. Okay. So that way you start from here. When you click here, because now we now have categories and subcategories. So when you click here, it asks you where do you want to start from. You can actually you can actually jump. Unlike when we were doing bar charts and column charts, you can't jump. You have to start from categories before you go to subcategories. But here you can actually jump and start from subcategories. Or the normal way, which is the non-hoodlum way to do it, is start from category. Then each of the categories now have plus. So you can then go down to subcategories. But you can only see one subcategory at a time. So if you don't want to see technology again, you want to see furniture, you have to close this and then open furniture. And as usual, you can do high value or low value. And then you can see that. And you can still have another thing again under the subcategory. And it doesn't have to be something totally related. Let's say, let me put region. To still break it down again, and you can choose any one of them. So you can use this low value. So like that, you can go on and on and on and on and on. I feel like this is actually a more beautiful looking this thing. The only difference is just that you can only do, like at the last step, you can only do one at a time. So you keep going one, because I can imagine if you do another of these, like maybe after doing chairs, you now do tables, it's going to look like distorted and all of that. So you can just keep going one at a time. And if you change your mind, you don't want to do chairs again, you just close this and come to tables and then continuously like that. And like I said, here overtaking is allowed. So of course you can still use your drill up and drill down as usual. So the moment you start coming down, now you can't come down again because this is the last place. Then you can go up again, drill up. Okay, I didn't activate the drill up. Go to the next, like that, and like that. So that's that. That's how that works. And like I was saying before, you can overtake. So because we have added those regions, subcategory, category, and all of them, you can actually start from anywhere. Start from subcategory or start from region, anywhere you want to start from. It's going to just split it for you. And that's how the decomposition tree works. And the last and final thing that we're going to do today, we are already beyond time, is key influencers. And key influencers, again, as the name implies, shows you how one data point is influencing the other data point. And that's why the things you have here in your visualization pane is analyze. So analyze is what do you want to analyze? Is it your profit? Is it your sales? Is it your whatever? So here I will analyze our profit. And so already it's not showing anything because I've not said what I want to explain it by. And what this means is that I want to know how what explains our profit. That's how what affects our profits. So let me put, there was something we had used before. Let me just use something else. Let me use quantity. The system is so slow today. I don't know why. Okay, so if you put something that maybe the no influencers found, try adding some fields into the explain by. Sometimes you put something that maybe they are not really very much and there's not much correlation between them. It's going to sort of tell you, oh, okay, put something else or stuff like that. So maybe let's put let me move profit here. Oh no, let me use sales. Let me leave profit here and put sales here. Aha. So the moment I put it, say you run an analysis, then it's now showing us that I keep trying to make this big just so that we can have a better view. Okay, let me close this guy. This is a place to increase the size now. Anyway, so you already put the question here, what influences profits to increase? It already shows us that when, I'll just be reading it since it may be too small for us to say. When sales is more than 46.4, the average profit increases by 142.6. And it breaks them into sort of bins to say, in this category of sales, this is how much profit increases. And when sales is within this range, this is how profit increases. When sales is within this range, this is how profit increases on the average. And when sales is more than this amount, this is how profit jumps up. So it just shows us the correlation sort of between profit and sales. And of course, the profit is more likely to increase when sales is more than 464.2 than otherwise. So what it's just saying is this is the point where you start enjoying economies of scale. You know that thing they say economies of scale. Sometimes when you're selling small, you don't really make the profit until when you sell a whole lot. And that's what this has just shown us, that this is the point where your profit starts jumping based on making more sales. And it's not just increase, so you can see both increase and then also decrease. The same thing when sales is less than 57.75, the average profit starts going down by so. And when sales is between 55, 57, and 74, this is a whole lot of, I feel like this is a whole lot of intelligence. And that's why these guys are called AI visuals, because it has looked into your data set. It has seen at what point these things are having the biggest influence on each other. And it's just telling you that, just like when I used to work, okay, I don't know how to say this, but if you understand how tax laws work, when you earn more money, you pay more tax. So where I used to work before, there are some bonuses you get when you do field work. And people had somehow found a way to calculate that it's advisable to do not more than 15 days field work in a month, because the moment you do more than that, you enter into that next bracket where you're paying more tax. So they just feel like whatever extra money you're going to make from working maybe 20 or 25 days on the field, you're going to eventually pay a large chunk of it into tax. So people just find a way to say, oh, let me remain in this bucket. And that's exactly what this is saying. It's saying if you're not selling more than 74 or whatever, don't bother selling higher than 57. So something like that. Or you need to really sell higher than this amount for you to get the kind of profit that you want to get. So anytime you're selling below that amount, you're not here maximizing your profit. So that's what this would help you to do. And it's not necessarily profit and sales that can have correlation. It can be any other thing. And then it now even goes further to tell you what segments are influencing your profit the most. Let me change this to increase and go to top segments. So we found one segment and ranked them by average of profit and population size. Select a segment to see more details. When is profit more likely to be high? So by the time you click this segment 1, tells you in segment 1. So these are all the things that are likely to make your profit to be high. Average of profit is 143. This is 124 units higher than the overall average, which is this. And that's in that segment sales is greater than 464. And then you can say when is profit more likely to be low? Find 2 segments. So it's a lot of intelligent work that Power BI has helped you to do by looking at all of your data. And of course, it takes understanding what's inside the data for you to also be able to make sense of everything that is here. But then it just helps you to know where to focus your resources on. What are the things that are helping you to make more profit, and how do you need to focus on all of those? Now, there's a whole lot more that I can show correlation. It could be quantity, it could be discount, it could be any other thing. But then this has just sort of given us an overview of how this works. And then when you practice it, that's when you will see more of this. Everything that is here, or most of what is here, Power Platform, is sort of beyond the scope of this class. But if you were in our very first class, it was not exactly a technical class, where we sort of introduced the different tracks. You remember that Microsoft has a sort of suite called Power Platform. It is inside that suite that we have Power BI, we have Power Apps, we have Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. And all of them, of course, they do like different things, but then they are interconnected. And that's why you can see Power Apps and Power Automate here, because you can build the report here and then link it to an app and say, oh, when something happens, show this report. Or of course, your Power Automate, so you can have a trigger in your Power Automate that says, okay, when this happens, show this part of my Power BI dashboard and what have you. But then, like I said, it's beyond the scope of this class. But if you've been in any of the Power Apps or Power Automate classes, you might just have a view. Paginated report is a whole lot, but again, it's beyond the scope of this class. If we at any time have maybe like an advanced class, we might be able to cover it, but because of the time constraint that we have, we would not cover it. I think we've covered most of the other things that are here. We've used image. The time I brought in my logo, my picture actually, and put it here. These are shapes, of course. You need any kind of shape to show anything in your report. We've done buttons. We did text box. That was what I used to put. About to front page now. Text box is what I used to put this Solanka supermarket sales here. So basically, of course, that is not all there is to Power BI, but then practice, and don't stop practicing. Home. So yes, that Dataverse also relates to Power Platform. So again. So yeah, that's really all about analysis and visualization. Again, that's not all about it, but then you need to practice all of the rest. Key influencers are okay, we've done key influencers is what we just did. Yeah, and the composition tree. The thing we didn't do that I would have loved us to do is using scatter charts to show outliers. But then I don't want to keep us too long. So someone might do that as a homework. I really want somebody to do a demo, and I've been saying it since, but nobody seems to want to own up to it, and it's not how we roll in this place. So
I think you didn't totally say somebody should present.
No, I didn't know anybody's name, but I'm sort of hoping to get a volunteer.
I had demos to show.
It's not today now. I'll give another
That's what I'm
homework.
saying now.
I'll give another homework today and hope that somebody will volunteer to do demo next week. And this homework is not even what I thought was, but it's just understanding how to use different visuals for different things. So Cohort chart to show outliers. Homework. So that's our homework for next week. So when I say I want somebody to do a demo here, you don't have to, it doesn't have to necessarily be the homework. It's nice if it's the homework, but it can be any other thing that we've done, or even something beyond, or something that we've done plus another additional thing that you now learned on your own. Just show us, just sort of proves to us that we're following. And Chema did a lot of asking people to do stuff after she had done it, but somehow I don't seem to be very good with that. If not, I should have done a lot of that too. But in any case, that brings us to the end of today's class. Next class, we're going to touch on Power BI service briefly. I don't know if I don't know how many people have been able to create a Microsoft Dev account. I remember saying that if you had any issues getting one, you can reach out to me and I'll create one for you on my tenant, even though you can actually do it yourself following the link that I had shared earlier. But then I can just create for people, because that would help you when we're doing the intro to Power BI service, because you really need to sign into your account. So let's just try to do that. Like I said, the next class, we intro to Power BI service, it should just be an intro, nothing in depth. It should just be an intro, but then we'll see how far we can go with that. And so since that's what we'll be doing, I feel like we can still take 10-15 minutes to take a demo from someone. And if you, while you're working on whatever you want to demo, if you have issues, feel free to reach out to us on the chat or even on the WhatsApp group. But it will really be nice. After our next class, which will be our last class, we will let us know if we'll be having a sort of just a small project or something, or we can just find a challenge online that people can sort of participate in, just to sort of put together everything that we have learned so far, basically. And I wanted to add, and I said it at the beginning, but I don't know if you remember, I think we had said that at the end of this class, we're going to have some sort of prizes, maybe for 1 or 2 people that we found most committed to the classes. And of course, I'm not going to tell us what we're going to use to judge. Well, it will be at the discretion of the mentors, all 3 of us. So just so we know. Are there any questions from what we have learned today? Or hello, Chama. I didn't even notice that you were in.
Oh, good evening. Lisa, good evening. Sorry, I lost track of time.
Oh, okay. If there are no hands, I would assume that there are no. I don't know if we have put up the video for the last class, but I'll just check. But I also try to remind our video mommy to put up the videos on time, because I see many people miss today's class, but so that they can just catch up. Joseph, you were saying something.
No, just saying thank you. Bye. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, y'all. And thank you for coming.